Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. We're getting to the very end of Supreme Darkness. We have another single card revealed today. I think after this card, this leaves us with 7 cards left in the set to be revealed before it's officially released in the OCG. But this one looks really cool. I gave it a quick read over just to make sure it was even worth making a full-on video about. And it absolutely is. It's really, really cool. So, new field spell. Cool artwork here for a field spell. It's like a river of blood, and then this rock formation looks almost just like a giant hand. I don't know if that's actually supposed to be like the vibe, but to me it just looks kind of like a giant hand, like set down like in the river of blood. But this is actually pretty solid zombie support. So this is Delta of Temptation. It's a new field spell. You can only activate one card of this card's name per turn, and you can only use the second and third effects of this card once per turn as well. First effect, when this card resolves, you can send one level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. I mean, okay, that's crazy. I mean, we talk about how Rhoda's really good. We talk about how Bonfire is really broken. Are they going to put Bonfire to one with like how good Snake Eyes have been and some of the other decks that have been able to take advantage of Bonfire as well? You know, Rizeol and you know, there's other archetypes too. So technically Centurion, other stuff. But just generic Rhodas. How good generic Rhodas are. And let's be honest, like, is a Foolish Burial for zombies better than a Rhoda? It might be. Now, this doesn't send any zombie. This would have obviously been even better if you could send anything. It is only level 5 or higher, which does certainly, you know, narrow down your targets a little bit. And I don't think there's like too many targets because of that are like one card plays, but still good, and it's still you know, gets you set up for exactly what zombies want, which is just bodies in the graveyard, bodies that would rather be in graveyard than in hand, and that's really, really solid. So that's a really great start. Second effect, if a zombie monster is on the field, special summon one Delta token. It's just like a zombie level 5/0/0 dark token. Wow. Like honestly, wow is all I have to say about that. So not only is this card kind of just like a starter / extender utility card by getting any high level zombie into the graveyard straight from the deck, but then also if you just put any zombie on the field, period, you're also just getting an extra free body. And that's really nice because zombies do have a couple of decent Link 2s. They got the decent zombie Link 2 in Rage of the Abyss. It's actually a decent card. Helps them just like reborn a zombie from grave and just kind of keep like the zombie bodies coming. They have Vampire Sucker, who like draws you a card when a zombie is summoned, and you know what I mean. So we're also, you know, potentially boosting that route. Also level 5 zombies, if they're not Link summoning, they tend to be synchro summoning if they're going into the extra deck. More often than not, that tends to be the other like extra deck route they tend to go. And tokens are good for synchro summoning, right? So I don't know exactly how perfect level 5 is, if that's like an awkward level, if that does work out pretty well with some of the tuners zombies have access to, but that is nice that like it does work for that, because it doesn't work for Exceed summoning. So like, for example, if zombies were really trying to Exceed a lot, then this would not really help with that. So, but synchroing totally works, or it's just a Link body, basically. So really, really cool. And there's no restriction on this card whatsoever. That's the other crazy thing, is like generic Foolish Burial for one of the single types in Yu-Gi-Oh that we know wants to be Foolish Burial, maybe more than any other type across the board. And it also gives you an extra free body, an extra free token, and there's no restriction on it. Like, it doesn't lock you into zombies for the rest of the turn, it doesn't lock you into whatever. It's really quite good. Alright, in the final effect here, if a monster or monsters is added from the graveyard to the hand while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. I mean, if you know, this is the bonus effect, I would say. Like, the other two effects are definitely the meat of the meat and potatoes of this card. This third effect's kind of the vegetables. But it's still good. I still think this works. Zombies are all about recurring from grave, and I do think that includes some add back effects as well. They're not all special summoned from grave effects, so if you add back anything, this card comes back. And on top of that, what's also important to note is is this is generic across the whole duel. This says if a monster is added from the graveyard to the hand, not your monster. So that means if your opponent ever adds a card from their graveyard back to the hand while you have this card in your graveyard, this just comes back. So I would imagine in most zombie decks you are doing zombie world stuff as well. So I would think that it would be fairly regular for you to go turn 1, activate this, send your big level 5 or higher zombie to grave, then put another zombie on field, use its second effect to get the free token, and then maybe you use an effect that's going to put Zombie World over it, because Zombie World is going to apply, obviously, do more on the opponent's turn, and have synergy with Ballardrak, all that stuff. This card also has synergy with Ballardrak, by the way, because Ballardrak just needs any field spell on field to summon back, but so that's really cool. But, yeah, and I would assume you'd be wanting to end your turn with Zombie World on the field, which would put this in grave. And then just for follow-up, you know, if any card gets added back, this is just coming back. So you're naturally putting this in grave yourself anyway. It's not like you're waiting for your opponent to remove it. You're probably putting it there yourself. So it does make that third effect even more live. I think that's just icing on the cake when the first two, you know, layers of the cake were already banging. So a really cool card. As far as like quick targets to talk about, obviously there's Doom King Ballardrak. This guy is certainly the first one that comes to my mind. If there's a card in the field zone during the standby phase, he just summons himself back, and then once per chain, when a zombie monster activates its effect, you can quick effect either negate the effect or banish a card, banish a monster from field or grave. It's a really strong boss monster. He is obviously the first one that comes to my mind, but there's also Eldritch. That's another one. We've seen, like, not just Eldritch, obviously, play Golden Lord, but we've even seen variants with where it's like zombie Eldritch, where you play like the actual like zombie world engine with the like backup core of the Eldritch engine. It's also just a good removal tool as well. Like you're able to send him, you can send the field spell to grave to add him back, and then you can also use his effect to pitch. That's actually it's actually really interesting. So think about this, right? So you can use the field spell to send Eldritch, right? Then you, without even putting a body on field, you can go Eldritch effect in grave, sending the field spell from field to add him back to your hand. Then special him from your hand if you want. And then you're able to trigger the field spell because it was sent as cost. So the add back happened while this was in grave. I believe this just adds itself back immediately. Now you won't be able to activate this again that turn, but now it's in hand for you to potentially just, if you didn't want to summon Eldritch, you didn't have to. You could hold him in hand because then you could pitch him and the field spell to then pop a back row. Or actually send any card. Which is kind of cool. That actually like is a roundabout way to like, or you could use it to summon a because this summons any zombie from hand when you do that. So it potentially helps you plop another zombie from hand on the field without normal summon, while also having an out to any card on the field going second. Kind of cool. All right, and the other one that kind of popped into my mind, I remember that this card came out recently. I want to say this is like kind of pack filler for a recent set. I don't remember what set it is, but I'm sure it's down here somewhere. Does it even say? This is Rage of the Abyss. Okay, cool. This just came out. It's part of the pack filler for Rage of the Abyss. Anyway, this is Wandering Titan of Tartarus. It's a zombie. It says if this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, send as many cards you control as possible to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon this card. Then send cards your opponent controls to the graveyard up to the number sent to the graveyard by this effect. Which is not bad, because you're using a face-up field spell to do all of this. So even off of one card, you just go activate field spell, send this guy, going second, presumably. Then you use Tartarus here to send the field spell, summon himself back, and then you get to non-target send any card your opponent controls. Now, this is all kind of like a roundabout way to do like kind of similar to what Eldritch does, because you're still sending one card, but it's interesting, and it says neither player can activate monster effects in response to this effect's activation, so that works. It's an interesting card. I'm not gonna like say it's crazy because it's a brick and you like really don't want to draw it, and that's already like sometimes a problem for zombies. But just another interesting card that came to my mind. But let me know, guys, down below. I know there's obviously got to be some. There's got to be some vampire cards that maybe like are high level zombies that could have some synergy here. There's probably some Vendread cards and maybe even just some other generic zombies that you think are worth noting. But this is definitely a win for zombies. This may be like just a straight up staple in zombies going forward. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it regardless. So let me know your thoughts down below. I'm not a zombie player by any means, so I don't know like the in-betweens, the nitty-gritty, but I'd love to hear it down below and learn more about it. So if you are, let me know your in detail thoughts on this card down below. But I'm out here for today. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. This is a nice little bonus to the set. I haven't been too impressed with this set overall. I might make a video about that soon. But this is definitely a nice little notch in the belt for the set. But we'll talk about that later. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on all things Yu-Gi-Oh! News going forward. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.